Hi, I want to share some thoughts on The Power of Gold, The History of an Obsession by Peter L. Bernstein. I bought this book at Half Price Books in Tequila, Washington, probably well over a year ago now. It's a book I've been meaning to get around to reading ever since I bought it. It's been sitting on my coffee table staring at me for a long time now, and I'm glad I finally got around to reading it. Even though it's a book that I suspect will not appeal to a lot of people who aren't already interested in finance. My main beef with this book is that it employs a lot of technical jargon as it progresses, as the story progresses into modern times. The book purports to tell the story of the history of gold and its influence in human society. You know, the title pretty much says it all. And as it progresses into the story of how modern economics became increasingly convoluted and complex, I think a lot of people, I'm of course just speaking from my personal experience here, if you're not already a bit of an expert on financial matters and such, the story will become a bit hard to follow as Bernstein gets into the story of the gold standard, how we eventually moved away from gold coinage, but continued to use gold as the bedrock on which the value of money was based up until the presidency of Richard Nixon, and so on. The first half or so of the book, as Bernstein explains how gold evolved from being essentially a decorative item into the item that we made coins out of, and what eventually came to be equated with money, is a lot easier to follow and a lot more interesting in a way, in my opinion, if only because it was so much easier to follow. Some anecdotes from that part of the book, which I know will stick with me. I particularly enjoyed his explanation of how gold first became coined in the kingdom of Lydia, that's in modern Turkey, by this dynasty, which overthrew the previous dynasty because this is a story I remember reading in Herodotus a long time ago, and I'm just going to read a part of it to you because I love the way Bernstein sums it up. He says, according to Herodotus, the kings of Lydia traced their ancestry from Hercules and had ruled for 22 generations, or 550 years, at which time their king was named Candaules. Candaules was madly in love with his beautiful wife. He was also a show-off. One day he hid with his favorite bodyguard Gyges to give Gyges the opportunity of observing the lady undress and display her lovely body. Unknown to the two men, the queen noticed what had happened. She called Gyges to her the next day and told him that either the man who had planned this violation must die, or the man who had illegally seen her nakedness must perish. She let Gyges choose between making the event legal by killing his king and then marrying her and leading the kingdom, or being killed immediately by her instead. That choice is what is known today as a no-brainer. And so began the dynasty known by the tongue-twisting title of Myrmidai. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly or not, but anyway, the Myrmidai were the ones who first issued gold coins, and the rest is history, of course. I also particularly enjoyed Bernstein's analysis of how when the Spanish conquered the Americas and started bringing gold back to the old world, as it was known, in such vast quantities, why that nevertheless never made them rich. And the reason is that the Spanish monarchy in particular, and the Spanish in general, had somewhat of an addiction to just spending all this gold on things they didn't need, on useless military campaigns, and on luxury goods, and so on. And I think this is very relevant in today's world, considering that how few people, even those who make a lot of money, have any real sort of safety net. I read somewhere that about 2/3 of people making $200,000 today still live paycheck to paycheck. So, yes, I think a lot of people would do well to take that lesson to heart. Um, I also was interested in how Bernstein explains how coins developed ridged edges because the English, in I think he said the 1600s or so, finally decided to do something about the practice of coin clipping, which is where people would shave off the edges of gold coins until they had enough to bring it back to the mint and make new coins out of it and thereby turn a profit. Apparently, it took that long for people to figure out that if you stamped the coin with a ridged edge, then you'd be able to tell whether it had already been clipped or not, on the other hand. So, yes, it's these sort of anecdotes, I think, that really make this book very interesting and a very compelling read. It becomes a little more uh, heavy going as it gets toward the end. As I say, it becomes more a story of then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Still very readable, but like I say, if you're not interested in modern finance quite as much, which I am not quite as much, although I do find it very interesting, Bernstein still makes it readable, but like I say, it's going to be a bit harder to follow, and I'm not sure how much you'll enjoy it. But overall, I would still say that this was a great read, and I highly recommend it. So, feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.